What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90, and it is the long-awaited Champions League episode. It is match day 5, and things are really heating up in terms of qualification to the round of 16. It's been another crazy week for the Members Club since I last saw you in a video. We've had winning ACCAs on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. This is just a little look of what we did and some of the analysis that I provided. Thursday was a little fourfold, my Thursday favorites fourfold. Friday, there weren't many games, but I did do a Friday double of Juve to win and under, and PSG to win and over, and that came in at 3.4. We had a Serie A Saturday double with Milan and Inter Milan to win at 3.1. We had my La Liga home comforts treble with Real Madrid, Villarreal, and Barcelona all to win at home, and there's some more analysis up there. And to top it off last night, probably one of my favorite ones, the Sunday evening double, Barcelona -1 handicap and Napoli to win away at Roma, odds of 4.72. I know at least one of you actually put Barcelona -2 handicap in. And then here were the winning tips given to members over the weekend. There are a couple still to be played with AEK, Athens, and West Ham up the top. I assume both of them will win, but there's some really good tips in here, particularly in Championship League 1 and League 2. There's always a lot of value to be had in there. Serie A, La Liga was pretty good as well as a few of the French League games too, with both teams to score. And of course, when it comes to the favourites in the Eredivisie, they tend to win in a high-scoring game. But the channel did smash past 50 and now 60 members, so I want to give a shout out to the new members. We have Christian Tonner, Badel Shrestha, Okot Dennis, Hazara, Aik Akut, Marley Stamper, Johnny Bravo, Edge Image Investment, DHYH, Unruly JN, Fadi Saber, Marvin Marvo, Contorstol, Rod TV, All in One Vids, Parasu Pilau, or Pile, and Domi. So massive shout out to all of the new members joining the members club. You can do that by clicking the join button down below. We do have a little accumulator for tonight's games on the Monday as you're watching this, and of course we will do Champions League tips and all that good stuff as well. That's all the admin out of the way. I just wanted to shout that out. I know that YouTube doesn't allow the memberships in every single country. There's literally nothing else I can do about that. Maybe in the future I can start to think of some kind of Patreon page that might be more accessible to everyone, but at the moment I'm just keeping it within the YouTube membership. I also gave a result on both teams to score treble that was 1 goal away. It was Real Madrid, AC Milan, and Bayern Munich to win, and both teams to score. Madrid won 3-1, AC Milan won 4-1, and Bayern Munich won 2-0. Can't believe they didn't concede, but it is what it is. The fun doesn't stop there, as I have got 16 Champions League games to predict and tips to give you all as well, and there's some really good ones in here. So let's kick it off immediately with FC Salzburg up against Chelsea. This is one of the harder ones to predict the result in. Group E has been the lowest scoring group. It's been very low scoring, and I'm going to follow a similar trend there. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw here between Salzburg and Chelsea. My tip is actually Chelsea double chance and under 3.5 goals at 1.66. That's the same tip that I offered for the Manchester United game, a sort of lower scoring game that Chelsea don't lose. Of course, that came in. I'm going for essentially a repeat result here for Chelsea, looking very close in that group. 7, 6, 4 points. All a lot to play for there. After that, we travel to Sevilla for Sevilla up against Copenhagen. And Copenhagen, I mean, I don't know how exactly they managed to get a draw against Manchester City. I think Rodri's disallowed goal was very unfair, considering what an amazing goal it was. I'm going to go for a 1-0 win to Sevilla. I don't see Copenhagen score. If we look at their recent results, 0-0 with Man City, 5-0 Man City, 0-0 Sevilla, and 0-3 to Dortmund. So they actually haven't scored a goal yet this season. Sevilla aren't looking great. So instead of backing a Sevilla win, I'm just going to back both teams to score no at 1.75. That's something I wish I did in the Nottingham Forest Liverpool game, because that would have come in even though Nottingham Forest managed to beat Liverpool 1-0, which was, I mean, that was a result that nobody could have predicted. After that, we have Benfica up against Juventus, and although Juventus have got some decent results as of late, I'm going for Benfica. Benfica managing to beat FC Porto, largely thanks to a red card for Porto in that first half. I'm going for home comforts again, 2-1 to Benfica, and my tip is actually both teams to score at 1.75. I think it's likely Juventus get something. I mean, they lost to Maccabi 2-0 there, so they've got to bounce back. They need points. As you can see, they've got one win here, beating Maccabi. They lost to Benfica and they lost to PSG, scoring in both those games. I could actually see a repeat here, but in case Juve do take a 2-1 win, I'm going for a 2-1 here and both teams to score as my tip. After this, it's Borussia Dortmund up against Manchester City. I tell you what, Jude Bellingham is in absolutely fantastic form, but of course has been eclipsed by none other than the machine himself, Erling Haaland. Now, Manchester City, they are top of their group. They're 3 points ahead of Dortmund, though, so if they lose this, all of a sudden, it looks like Dortmund could try and sneak first place. So Man City kind of have to win this, and I think they are going to win this, but Dortmund, I think, are going to score a couple. I'm going to go for 3-2 to Manchester City. My tip is both teams to score an over 2.5 goals at 1.8. If you don't like that, and by all means, you don't have to like that, my tip would be Manchester City to win at these odds here. I think that is entirely possible for Manchester City because they're going to beat Dortmund, I think. I think Man City and both teams to score is another shout that I heavily considered, but in case it ended in 2-2, I went both teams to score an over 2.5 goals. After that, we traveled to Celtic Park for Celtic up against Shakhtar, and I tell you what, these odds are confusing to me. I think Celtic are a little bit overrated. I mean, they've got 1 point in the group so far, and Shakhtar are a decent team. They really are. So I think both teams are going to score. I think there's going to be a fair amount of goals. You could look at over 2.5 goals at around about 1.7, but I saw the odds Shakhtar double chance at 1.9. Am I really thinking that Celtic are going to win here, having not won a game all season in the Champions League? I just don't really see it. I think Shakhtar can get something from this game. So Shakhtar double chance at 1.9 looks pretty good for me. After this, it's Dinamo Zagreb up against AC Milan. This is going to be a really, really tricky one as well. I think there'll be at least 2 goals, so that's where my tip's coming from. I'm going to go 1 for Dinamo Zagreb. I'm going to shade it to AC Milan, but they do have some absentees. They're not quite firing this season. And again, bottom of the group here. That's crazy. They need a win here, and AC Milan will still be eyeing, despite being in 4th place in the group, they'll still be eyeing a qualification spot to the round of 16. So I'm going to shade them the win. My tip is AC Milan double chance and over 1.5 goals at 1.53. That sort of allows for any AC Milan win other than 1-0, but also keeps the 1-1 draw in there, which I could see happening in what has been, as I said earlier, a very low-scoring group. Now, throw low scoring out the way. PSG up against Maccabi Haifa. I'm going to give Maccabi a goal because they've been playing quite well in the Champions League this season. I'm giving PSG 5. This is just going to be an absolutely massive game. You could look at PSG and both teams to score. PSG need to score a lot of goals here because they want to make sure they're ahead of Benfica on goal difference. My tip is very hard to find value when the odds are like this. My tip is Kylian Mbappe to score at 1.66. However, if PSG score 5, Mbappe scores twice, right? So if you're very confident that PSG score a lot of goals, you could look at Mbappe to score 2 or more at 3.75. But obviously a tip, I'm going to go a little bit lower than that. Mbappe to score 1.66. I quite like those odds. Now, after that, we go to RB Leipzig up against Real Madrid. Real Madrid beating Sevilla 3-1. RB Leipzig coming back from 3-0 down to draw 3-3 in the dying moments of their last game. I think this is going to be an interesting one. I think Real Madrid are going to win. The odds are very... I can't believe those odds. Real Madrid favourites just. I'm going to go for Leipzig to score because they typically do. But Real Madrid to win 2-1. You could look at Real Madrid to win outright. But again, in case it ends 2-2, 3-3, something like that, my tip is actually Real Madrid to score 2 or more goals at 1.9. It could be a 2-0, could be a 2-1. They could lose 3-2. Real Madrid to score twice at nearly evens. Looks like a good shout for me. But again, I wouldn't put anyone off the Real Madrid full-time market in this one. Moving on to the Wednesday games now, we have Club Brugge up against FC Porto. So difficult to predict Club Brugge this season. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Porto should win, but how can you bet against Club Brugge with the way they've been playing this season? You just can't do it. So I'm going to go for a draw, and at this stage, Club Brugge, if they do get a draw, they will actually win the group, I'm pretty sure, because that'll put them on 11 points. That'll put Porto 4 points behind them, and that'll put Atletico Madrid 4 points behind them, even if they win. So a draw here for Club Brugge sees them win the group, and I think they could actually do that, which would be a phenomenal achievement. So I'm going for a 1-1 draw. My tip is both teams to score at 1.7. After that, we have Inter Milan up against Viktoria Plzen. Inter Milan are going to win this one 3-0. And my tip is Inter Milan halftime, Inter Milan full-time at 1.53. Inter typically hit the ground running. They're quite often up at halftime when they do win games, even when they leave it very, very last minute against Fiorentina to get the 4-3 win. I'm pretty sure they were up 2-1 at halftime. They were 2-1 at halftime, and then it was 3-3 at the 90th minute, thanks to a Fiorentina goal, and then Inter Milan took the win. So I'm going for Inter Milan halftime, Inter Milan full-time at 1.53. After this, it's Ajax up against Liverpool. Ajax coming off a high-scoring win at the weekend. Liverpool losing 1-0 to Nottingham Forest. I think this is going to be a very entertaining game. Liverpool should win, but I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. My tip is both teams to score and over 2.5 goals at 1.72. That allows for an Ajax win 2-1, a Liverpool win 2-1. it could randomly just be a 1-0 or something like that you don't expect, but this should have goals, and Ajax should be ready. They should feel like they can get something from this Liverpool side, and I mean, they've got to try, right? So I'm going for a 2-2 draw there. After that, Atletico Madrid up against Bayer Leverkusen. Bayer Leverkusen, how on earth do you predict them? They're all over the place. It's very difficult, but I'm going to go for an Atletico Madrid win. I think it's going to be close. I'm going to go for a 2-1, and just straight up, the odds look pretty good at the Wanda Metropolitano. Atletico Madrid to win, 1.8. I think that's fairly decent. I mean, if we look at the groups here, Atletico Madrid with a win, if Porto do fail to beat Club Brugge, sees them both go to 7 points. Atletico Madrid are in qualification. Bayer Leverkusen, of course, essentially could get qualification still as well, hoping essentially that Club Brugge win. They can then get themselves on 6 points. But I do think Atletico Madrid are going to have a little bit too much for the German outfit in this fixture. After that, it's Barcelona up against Bayern Munich. I actually predicted that Bayern Munich would beat Barcelona in the previous round, and I'm going against that now. I'm going for a Barcelona 3-2 win. I think it's going to be high scoring though, and Bayern Munich could definitely win. Barcelona will definitely score, so I'm going to marry these two together. My tip is going to be over 3.5 goals at 2.1. It could be a 2-2 draw, could be a 4-0 win either way. You never know. I'm going to back Barcelona. They're in really good form. They're at the new camp against Bayern Munich, and they need a win. So I'm going to go 3-2 here to Barcelona. After that, it's Eintracht Frankfurt up against Marseille. This is a bit of a tough one. I'm just going to go for a repeat scoreline in the last fixture. Marseille have lost a few recent fixtures, even in Ligue 1. Frankfurt have been picking up some decent results as well, so I'm going to go for a 1-0 win. And my tip is Eintracht Frankfurt draw no bet at 1.61. So if they win, you get a 1.61 payout. If they draw, you get your money back. Only way it loses is if Marseille win on the road against Frankfurt, and I don't see that happening at this stage. Now this one, Napoli Rangers. Napoli, the form team of the world. They are the only team in the major leagues now to remain unbeaten, having seen Atalanta lose to Lazio. So Napoli are just absolutely flying at the moment, and they're going to win. I'm going to go 4-0 to Napoli. My tip, this is an absolute banker, by the way. Napoli -1 at 1.72. Just to win by 2 or more goals, 1.72. I mean, that's crazy. They beat Rangers 3-0 away from home. They're looking unreal. They're going to win. Napoli -1 at 1.72. You could look at Napoli -2 as well, but Napoli -1 at 1.72 looks phenomenal. And the final game, Tottenham up against Sporting. A bit of a difficult one to call. Tottenham suffering their first defeat in the Premier League at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium against Newcastle. I'm going for the same scoreline, but this time in Tottenham's favour, 2-1. My tip is Tottenham to score over 1.5 goals. No, it's not. It's Tottenham to win and over 1.5 goals at 1.7. I think Tottenham should get the win here against Sporting, and when needs must, right? If they get this win, they cement themselves at the top of the group for another game week, and I think they can do it against this Sporting side who are breathing down their necks. Frankfurt as well, if they pick up the win, that puts them on 7 points. Tottenham want to finish top of the group, and I think they can do so with a win here against Sporting. So for all you watching out there, I've comprised a little treble. We have 3 or more goals in the Dortmund-Man City game, Real Madrid to score 2 or more goals, 1.9, and the Napoli -1 handicap at Rangers, odds of about 5. I think that's really good. If you chuck a tenner on it, you get basically 50 back. So that is going to do it for my Champions League predictions. If you did enjoy it, please do drop a like, subscribe down below. The World Cup is coming up around the corner. I'm very, very excited. You don't want to miss any of the videos we have to offer. That is going to do it from me. Feel free to click join if you want to join the members club, and I will see you in the next video very soon.